Let's go to the complete and narrated chapter of Boruto Two Blue Vortex 11. Loading. Hello everyone, welcome to the channel, and before the content of this video, don't forget to leave your like, subscribe to the channel, and activate the notification bell so you don't miss anything. And well, let's go to the fully narrated chapter of Boruto. The chapter title would be Taking It Seriously. We see Shinju Hidari on the cover. Subtext, this thunder is being swallowed by the darkness. Side text, Himawari awakens at the brink of Inojin's death. What is her true power? The chapter begins with a panel showing Inojin impaled and Himawari with her hair flying, possessed by the QB. She descends from the tree trunk that was surrounding her. Tap! Jura then says, "What is this? I assume this is the result of the Nine Tails chakra." Inojin and Chocho are in shock and say, "Himawari." Page 2. Himawari then looks to the side and walks normally. Shikadai then remembers when Jura broke her leg and says, "But how is she healed now?" Himawari then places her hand on the trunk, impaling Inojin. With a serious look, only her hair surrounds the boy, who is agonizing close to death. Page 3. Then with her hair, she removes Inojin's body and lays him on the ground while chakra envelops the boy. Shikadai runs saying, "Calm down, don't move him like that." But when he notices there are no wounds on Inojin, no hole in his stomach, Jura just observes this in silence. Page 4. In his thoughts, Shikadai says, "But his wounds, they're closing." Himawari says, "I don't know if he is completely healed. Take him to the hospital as soon as possible." Still in shock, Shikadai, looking at Himawari, says, "You? But what is this power?" Himawari then says, looking into Jura's eyes, "I'm not sure yet. But I think this guy can somehow feel it. That's what I want to confirm." Page 5. Chocho then says, "Hima, what are you thinking?" Himawari says, "I'm going to defeat him. That's all I can do." In the last panel of this page, Jura just looks more intently at Himawari. Page 6. Himawari then asks again, "Please, you all run away from here. His target is me. If you don't attack him, you should be able to get away safely from here." Chocho says, "But Hima, Chocho, let's get out of here. We're in her way. Let's go while we can still save Inojin." Chocho says, "But Shikadai, think about it more calmly. This is a fight we have no chance in. Let's try to save as many lives as possible." That's what Himawari is trying to tell us. Jura then says, "Wise decision, Nara Shikadai. I will remember you. We will meet again someday." Chocho says, "No way." Page 7. Chocho continues, "I can't just accept this." Himawari then says to Chocho, "I'm asking you, if I have some kind of power, I also want to take responsibility. My father and brother would do the same." Chocho then looks for a moment, then closes her eyes. Chocho then says, "Okay, but don't forget your promise to eat pancakes with me later." Himawari then says, "I won't forget, I love pancakes." Then we see Shikadai with Inojin on his shoulders, and he asks Chocho to hurry up. We hear footsteps. Himawari is approaching Jura. Jura looks and says, "I know you aren't idiots, that's why I'm surprised it took you so long to make a decision." 9. Jura says, "Yamanaka Inojin foolishly neglected my warnings several times. His rationality was destroyed until his reckless behavior resulted in his downfall." As Himawari approaches and stands face to face with Jura, Jura continues, "It's totally incomprehensible to me, but it seems that this has ignited something within you. Is there some kind of correlation, or is it just a coincidence?" Page 10. Then, with a completely cold look, Himawari says, "Shut your mouth." In that instant, she punches Jura in the gut, with enough power to send him flying backwards, dragging his feet on the ground and destroying it. Page 11. While we see Jura's eye in one panel, in the next we see Himawari preparing another punch, and this one seems to hit Jura in the mouth. The punch sends Jura flying backwards. We see Jura collide with rocks, leaving a trail of destruction, showing the power of the punch Himawari just delivered. We focus on Himawari's eyes looking where Jura was thrown. Then we see Jura, from the debris where he fell, flying out and coming back like a dive straight towards Himawari. The girl prepares for a counterattack. We see that the tips of her hair, which are exactly 9, are undulating like tails. Page 12. Then we see that this position of Himawari's hair begins to charge a black ball. Yes, a Bijudama starting to form. At the same time, Jura tilts his body back. and from his right eye, a Biju Dama starts to form as well. Pages 13 and 14. The action continues when the black sphere is launched by Himawari in two fantastic panels of the page. The same happens in the next panel when Jura also launches his Bijudama. We see a panel where Himawari's Bijudama is coming from below to above, and Jura's Bijudama is coming from above to below, resulting in a beautiful page 15 where both Bijudamas collide and explode. I believe the sound of this collision must have been gigantic. Page 16. Shikadai stops and looks back, seeing the collision of these two powers. The same happens with Chocho. With sweat dripping from his face, Shikadai just says, "Himawari." We then see Himawari looking up, the ground completely shattered. A focus on Himawari's face, and then a panel of Jura looking down. Then Jura descends with everything, saying, "Well, this is not a surprise. This power is inexplicable for you to be able to shoot a Bijudama at this stage." To Himawari's eyes, Jura continues, "Although the power of the nine tails is a prerequisite, it is intriguing how you managed to achieve this evolution so quickly." Then we see that Himawari notices something while Jura lowers his head. On page 18, we see that he launched a headbutt into Himawari's mouth. She then quickly moves forward, but Jura already appears above her from behind. Jura is relentless with a kick to Himawari's back. She falls face first to the ground with full force, breaking the ground. While Himawari sinks into the rocks, Jura lands saying, "This is a first for me." Page 19. Jura continues saying, "You have granted me a bit of freedom. I'm starting to want to experience it. Like by taking this fight seriously, of course." Note, hence the reason for the chapter title. As Jura says this, we see Himawari lift her face from the ground, already with some wounds, looking angry. Then on the same page, the scene changes. In Konoha, we see Hidari getting up from the ground, and around him, Sarada, Sumire, Konohamaru, and an extra. While Hidari stares at Sarada, she says, "That would be a mortal wound. It hurts, doesn't it? But I will leave you alone if you answer me honestly. What exactly are you? And why can you use the Chidori?" Then Hidari says nothing. We see a focus on his eye, and soon he begins to sink into a claw mark. He only sinks the upper part of his body, leaving Sarada perplexed. However, soon he returns. Page 21, he returns. We see that the side where Sarada's Chidori had wounded Hidari is completely healed. The Junin with them says, "This guy, he healed himself?" As we focus on a now worried Sarada, sweat dripping from her face, Hidari says, "You? Those eyes of yours, Jura told me about them. They are Sharingan, right?" Sarada then says, "Jura?" Hidari continues, "So the ability I used earlier is called Chidori. I thought it was harder to use, but to perform it better, I need eyes like yours, don't I?" Sarada, shocked by what she hears, thinks, "What is this guy?" Konohamaru then says, "What is your connection to Uchiha Sasuke? You still haven't answered me. Who are you?" Hidari, looking at him, says, "Who is that? I know nothing about that. You keep asking me these irritating questions." Hidari starts walking and says, "You want to know who I am? I am looking for answers. That's why I came to Konoha." When Hidari says this, we see Sumire is in shock. Then, as if she notices something, Sumire shouts, "Konohamaru, protect Sarada." We see that Konohamaru doesn't understand why Sumire said that. Sumire continues, "This guy's target is her. I can't be wrong." Page 24. On this page, we see a claw mark behind Sarada, and a hand emerges from it. It's Hidari's hand, which touches Sarada, electrocuting her violently. We see the brutal attack with Sarada's eyes turning white instantly. Konohamaru and the extra shout, "Sarada!" Page 25, the extra says, "Earth style." But in the next panel, we see that Hidari is already preparing a fire style, setting the ninja on fire, who screams desperately. While Sarada is falling to her knees, Konohamaru says, "Damn it," while Sumire holds Sarada. Then we see Konohamaru jump on Hidari, already preparing a Rasengan. But Hidari quickly teleports from one claw mark to another behind Konohamaru. Then he prepares a Chidori aimed straight at Konohamaru. Page 27. Konohamaru then uses a new technique called Vortex Barrier, Wind Style, managing to block Hidari's Chidori, but he is still thrown backward. Page 28. We then see another extra ninja who says, "What?" while we see Sumire holding Sarada in her arms. Sumire says, "Sarada, stay with me." But in the next panel, we see that Hidari used another electric attack that hits Sumire, causing her to fall face first to the ground. probably already unconscious. On her knees, Sarada thinks, "My body, I can't move it." Then we see Hidari looking at her. Page 29. The scene changes, returning to Himawari against Jura, but it comes back with Himawari taking a punch to the face from Shinju. Page 30. Himawari falls to the ground with part of her shirt torn. We see Himawari's side injured, but healing. Jura approaches her and says, "As I thought, your regenerative abilities are incredible, more than a Jinchuriki. It's like our existence, a Biju. But you are considerably weakened now." We see Himawari very injured on the ground while Jura looks at her and says, "It's clear no matter how much you heal your wounds, you cannot avoid the drainage of your chakra." Then we see Kurama. She says, "Damn, he is stronger than we thought. This is not a situation we can resolve just because you have great potential. Your opponent is very strong." The scene changes. We see two people flying. It's Kawaki and Delta. Delta says, "Hey Kawaki, don't get mad at me, but you want to face the guys who just defeated you? What are you going to be able to do when you get there?" Kawaki says, "I have no other choice. I'll just do what I can." Delta then says, "As I said, what can you really do?" Kawaki looks annoyed this time, but then they notice something that passes by them at high speed. We then see that it is Boruto approaching, also flying. Kawaki in shock says, "Boruto," pages 33 and 34. Then at extreme speed, Boruto approaches Jura and Himawari and holds Himawari in front of Jura. He saves the girl. Then we see Hidari again, his arms turning into a tree trunk. Hidari says, "What exactly am I? I still don't know myself. But for some reason, you are the beginning." As Hidari's tree trunk arm wraps around Sarada's neck, he says, "Uchiha Sarada, I will ask you something. What exactly are you? If I devour you now, what will I gain from it?" Page 35. Then Sarada notices something. Looking up, on a pole there's a frog with what looks like a triangle in its hand. Then a frog on Boruto's collar says, "I confirmed it. It's Sarada," and the symbol is a triangle. Then with a hand gesture, Boruto uses the Flying Thunder God technique. Pages 36 and 37. Boruto appears above Hidari. Sarada sees her friend arriving, with Himawari in his arms. Boruto draws his sword, cutting Hidari's tree trunk arm at the same instant, freeing Sarada. Both Hidari and Konohamaru and the other ninja are in shock. We see Boruto's back with his cloak blowing in the wind. Final page, 38. On the last page, we see Sarada on the ground and Boruto standing between her and Hidari. We see a close-up of Jura, who says, "How pretentious." Hidari says, "Otsutsuki, Boruto." With a focus on Boruto, Chapter 11 ends. The next chapter of Boruto will be released on July 19th. Well, that was the narrated chapter. If you liked the video, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell. See you next time. Thanks.